Do 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 do. We're going live again. Science going on in the background.
What up, everybody? Thanks for your patience. We were working through some technical difficulties.
Which is always our case.
Welcome to the El Krudo, the stream. Tonight we are talking indie film. We're talking sci-fi. Our guests are the creatives behind the interplanetary hit film Space Detective.
Woohoo!
Constant Madness. They've been sweeping the Southwest, crushing in Canada, mixing it up in Europe. They live by the swamp, they chill by the swamp. The only swamp in Vegas. Tonny and Matt. What up, Tonny and Matt? Happy Thursday.
Hey, happy Thursday to you, Manny. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for sticking with us. I appreciate it.
Hey, no worries.
So, I don't remember any swamp in Vegas. I mean, I haven't been there in many years, but I don't remember there being a swamp. What's up?
You know, there are actually wetlands out here. If you get close to the lake, they're all man-made and it smells terrible, but we do have kind of something.
Well, that counts, man. That counts. But anyway, before I get started, I don't know if you know, but I've done a little acting work myself. And I mean, after watching Space Detective, when you do launch Space Detective 2, I think there's a role that I think I'd be perfect for. I mean, how would you recommend one might audition for the role of Space Pimp?
You know, you saw the guy who played Space Pimp. You know, the guy who does that cameo in Space Detective is Zach Bagans from Ghost Adventures.
I saw it was Zach Bagans. Let me ask you, if I do get the role as Space Pimp in Space Detective 2, do I get to pick my space hose, or is that provided by management?
We can maybe work something out. The space hose in Space Detective are actually Matt's sisters-in-law.
It sounds off limits, man. I like, you know, I saw his work. I don't want to take anything from Zach Bagans. I think he did a rad job. I'm not trying to step on his toes.
He's a cool dude, yeah. He came in and did that for us today because, you know, Aaron Goodwin from the other guy from the show is our one of our executive producers, and he's our camera guy.
Yeah,
and we've known him since before they did the show and stuff, and he was working on Space Detective before they got on the show.
Oh, nice. So you were the stepping stone, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if anybody can't tell, our guests tonight, Tonny and Matt, they're the creators of Space Detectives, and they're coming in from Las Vegas. And you guys are both running Rebels, right? You guys went to UNLV?
We both dropped out of UNLV.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's how you know you're going to be successful.
I know, right?
They always say that A students work for C students, right?
I like that. Well, I remember we had this professor who never really liked me much, but he introduced me to another colleague of his. He's like, "Oh, this is Antonio Llapur. He's a very good storyteller. Unfortunately, he's an awful student." And I'm just like, wait a second. The fact that I'm a good storyteller, doesn't that automatically mean I'm a good student? I don't understand. Anyways, yeah, college was not for us.
He loved me.
Yeah, he loved you. That's weird. I stayed there longer, and he liked you. Maybe that's why he liked you, because you left early.
I mean, I can name maybe one teacher that liked me. So,
you know, right?
I mean, you know, what can you do? You can't please everybody. You know, if you're trying to please everybody, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, Mr. Madsen in high school, he loved me. That's why I'm going to write him a part in the next movie. But other than that,
you got to get on the good side of your up and coming students, right?
Yeah, right.
So I got Great Drunk Ape in the chat. He's been notorious to have audio problems, and we've been notorious for having audio problems as well. So anybody else in the chat, if you can hear us, make sure that everything's coming through all right. I have verified on my second laptop that everything is chill, and let me verify again. What does it take to get dropped out of an awesome school like UNLV? I mean, there had to have been other things keeping you there other than school. Like, what was that decision like?
For me, I was like in my last year almost, but like, oh God, I just burnout.
Yeah.
You got to work 40 hours a week. And then, I had some stupid record store because I'm old because they had record stores back then. Worked at a record store for like 40 hours a week. And then I was a film student. Like that last semester, I almost died and that was it.
Really?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about that time, I mean, what do you think about film school? So for somebody, I mean, somebody like me who's never gone to film school, but I have like, I do have kind of like a little art bone in me, and I've kind of thought about like different art schools and things like that. Um, and like what you can get out of it. I mean, there's kind of like, and I've come to like two different things, and tell me if I'm correct or not. But like, you kind of go to film school to either learn how to make cool shit or advance your career in film, right? Um, so like when you were in film school, did you learn how to make cool shit at least, or
We
was it all
learned,
about networking and shit like that?
I mean, I learned a lot. I learned, because, we had several different classes. So we had, like a production class and a lighting class and editing and sound design, screenwriting. So it's like I personally, I learned a lot from those particular, fields on how to do some of that stuff. I mean, some of that stuff is, everybody kind of knows, everybody watches movies, so they kind of know like a little bit about editing, a little bit about it. So it's like I learned a lot more about that, particularly with screenwriting, because it's like learning how to screenwrite, and I was able to, create my own content.
yeah, like for me, but the thing is about film school is like you can get a lot of that after about a year or two, and then it's
Uh-huh.
like it's just regular. It was just regular college, and then we had this giant film school load, which is like going to medical school. I don't know, like, but you try to write your first or second movie, feature film, make a short film,
Yeah.
work, and then have to stay awake through French cinema. It's hard. So if you got to worry about your math class
Yeah.
or your biology class, it's gonna mess you up. I mean, I wish my only not a regret, but I mean, I would have preferred to have gone to an art school
Uh-huh.
and been and only consumed by that. But that being said, college, you learned your five basic shots and how
Uh-huh.
to basically cut something, and we learned how to write.
Uh-huh.
And then, you generally are going to meet one or two of your colleagues there, like the people you're going to work with the rest of your life. You're going to meet at least one or two of those guys there.
Right. Did you know each other before college?
No, we met in a production class.
Uh-huh. Well, let me ask you, when you say that you learned to write, like what were some of the key things that you think about today that you learned in school that you didn't know before? Like, because everybody thinks they can tell a story, right? But there's different elements of what makes a story hook, in
I
terms of
mean,
plot development.
for me, I mean, initially was just the format of writing a screenplay. Like, like I mean, I've written before and I've written essays and whatever, but like the actual format of screenwriting, action versus dialogue and things like that really opened the door for me as far as like how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I mean, as a writer, every artist has their ideas, and then it's like finally knowing how to write it, I was able to start applying, my story ideas to that format. And
Yeah, I
then
get.
learning, and like in screenwriting, learning things like, the hero's journey and the hero of a thousand faces and archetypes and all that kind of stuff was really, really helpful.
For me, it was like learning that step outline, just how to like break down a movie. Like, oh wow, apparently a movie plot, there's math involved. It's like, look, there's a
Yeah.
formula on how to like make a movie work.
Right.
And once you get that formula down, you can start moving stuff around and you can start to creative. But unless you get that formula down, forget it. So and we learned that like movies that we really loved were the ones that were actually really good. They weren't perfect. Back to the Future is a perfect movie,
Uh-huh.
and we learned how to write a movie watching Back to the Future a dozen times, and the teacher breaking down individual part of that movie. Or Raiders of the Lost Ark was the other one we did a lot of with too.
Right.
And Die Hard. And like you start realizing that, you know, a lot of these movies all kind of have similar hits and similar points. And like once you figure out that, oh, this needs to happen about 15, 20 minutes in, this needs to happen an hour in, and this needs to happen,
Yeah.
you know, 90 minutes. And once you figure that out, man, you can, I think anybody can kind of put together a script. Now, whether it's interesting and your dialogue is good and your characters are original, well, no one can teach you that.
Yeah.
You've just got to develop that on your own. But the math, yeah. Why do you think you get so many uninteresting movies out? Because everybody knows the formula. Like everybody knows how to make a movie work. Once you get the movie work,
Right.
you know, it goes from there.
Yes.